You can't go to the Americans and say, hey, we're your solution to energy security. At the same time, back home, you're crushing the very industry that is going to provide that security. So I would say that one of the first things that Trudeau should do if he wants to demonstrate.
Danielle Smith is no stranger to speaking her mind, but her latest appearance has sent shockwaves through Canadian politics. On live television, Alberta's Premier delivered a scathing reality check that left a news host scrambling and exposed the cracks in Justin Trudeau's leadership for all to see. With a calm but commanding presence, Smith dismantled the narrative surrounding federal policies on everything from border security to energy regulation. And it didn't stop there. From calling out Trudeau's failure to address the opioid crisis to slamming his immigration policies, Smith's fiery takedown has everyone talking. But what makes this exchange even more compelling is how it ties into Smith's broader vision for Alberta. While Trudeau's government struggles to maintain credibility, Smith is positioning herself as a decisive leader with bold solutions. From investing millions in border security to standing firm against carbon taxes, Smith is rewriting the playbook on Canadian leadership. So, what exactly did she say that left the host stunned? And how does her critique of Trudeau's policies affect Canadians? Stay tuned, because this isn't just about one heated debate. It's about the future of Alberta, Canada, and our place on the global stage. Smith versus the news host? The moment Danielle Smith joined the program, you could feel the tension in the air. The news host wasted no time asking about the growing concerns over illegal drugs and migrants crossing the border. Isn't this primarily a U.S. problem? The host probed, seemingly expecting a typical response. But Smith wasn't having it. In her signature style, she delivered a blunt but fact-packed response. We've got a very serious opioid and fentanyl crisis in Alberta, she began, explaining how the flow of illegal substances is devastating communities. This isn't just about the U.S., it's about saving lives here at home. The host pressed on, pointing to Trudeau's open border policies and the influx of migrants into Canada. Smith connected the dots, revealing how Canada's policies have turned it into a staging ground for illegal border crossings into the United States. The Americans have seen a doubling of contacts at the Canadian border, she said, and 1.8 million people entered Canada in 2023 alone. These are policies with real consequences. The host, visibly unsettled, tried to shift the focus, asking whether U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's threat of a 25% tariff was justified. Smith's answer was as sharp as ever. This isn't just a negotiating tactic, she explained. It's a wake-up call for Trudeau to address the very real issues that are frustrating our neighbors. In just a few minutes, Smith had not only dismantled the host's narrative, but also highlighted how federal policies are failing both Canadians and our international relationships. It was a masterclass in turning the spotlight onto the bigger issues, leaving her critics speechless. Alberta's border security plan? While Trudeau's government grapples with criticism, Danielle Smith is taking action.
Far from the busiest port of entry between Canada and the U.S.,
Alberta recently announced a $29 million investment to bolster border security, a move Smith says is crucial for both Alberta's safety and Canada's relationship with the United States. This comprehensive plan includes 50 armed sheriffs, 10 cold-weather surveillance drones, and 4 drug detection dogs, all aimed at combating illegal crossings and drug trafficking. Smith emphasized that this initiative isn't just about catching criminals, it's about restoring trust and ensuring Alberta does its part to address cross-border issues. Together with federal law enforcement, we'll ensure our section of the American border is well protected, Smith said during the announcement. We'll deny safe haven to criminals operating in both countries. Smith's plan also designates a 2-kilometer zone along the Alberta-Montana border as critical infrastructure. This designation allows sheriffs to arrest individuals without a warrant if they're caught attempting illegal crossings or trafficking drugs and weapons. Critics have questioned whether this investment is necessary, but Smith stands firm. With over 298 kilometers of shared border and rising tensions over fentanyl and illegal migration, she argues that Alberta cannot afford to wait for federal leadership that may never come. This initiative also comes as a diplomatic gesture to the U.S. amid threats of a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. Smith's approach starkly contrasts with other leaders, like Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who suggested retaliatory measures. "I don't support tariffs on Canadian goods, and I don't support tariffs on U.S. goods," Smith said. "All it does is make life more expensive for everyday Canadians and Americans." By focusing on collaboration rather than retaliation, Smith is positioning Alberta as a proactive partner in solving cross-border issues, further highlighting the lack of leadership at the federal level. Trudeau under fire? Danielle Smith didn't hold back in her critique of Justin Trudeau's leadership, calling out his policies as detrimental to both Alberta and Canada as a whole. From energy to immigration, Smith argued that Trudeau's approach has created more problems than solutions. One of her sharpest criticisms was directed at the carbon tax. The carbon tax is anticipated to go up to 61 cents per liter for gasoline and diesel, Smith pointed out. This will make everything more expensive than in the United States. She argued that such policies not only harm Alberta's energy sector, but also make Canadian products less competitive globally. Smith also addressed Trudeau's proposed emissions cap, which she believes will cripple Alberta's energy production. "The only way to meet this aggressive target is by shutting down production," she said. "You can't tell Americans that we're their solution to energy security while simultaneously dismantling the industry that provides it." Her critique extended to Trudeau's handling of immigration. She highlighted how Canada's open border policies have overwhelmed communities and strained resources. 1.8 million people entered Canada in 2023, Smith said. "That's not sustainable, and it's causing issues on both sides of the border." Smith's frustration was palpable as she urged the federal government to step up. "If Trudeau wants to demonstrate a Team Canada approach, he needs to address these issues head on," she said. "Right now, it feels like Alberta is carrying the weight of his failed policies." By calling out these systemic issues, Smith positioned herself as a leader willing to confront the hard truths, contrasting sharply with Trudeau's often symbolic gestures. For Albertans, her no-nonsense approach is a breath of fresh air in a political climate dominated by platitudes. Smith's broader vision for Alberta, Danielle Smith, isn't just critiquing federal policies. She's laying out a vision for Alberta that prioritizes collaboration, innovation, and practicality. Unlike other leaders who rely on partisan posturing, Smith's approach emphasizes real-world solutions that can benefit both Alberta and the rest of Canada. One example is her diplomatic stance at the Western Governors Association meeting in Las Vegas. Instead of escalating tensions with the U.S., Smith focused on building bridges. "Under no circumstances will Alberta agree to cut off oil and gas exports," she said, countering suggestions from other provinces about retaliatory measures against the U.S. Smith's refusal to engage in tit-for-tat politics underscores her commitment to keeping Alberta's economy strong. "Retaliation only makes life more expensive for Canadians and Americans," she said. Her approach centers on fostering long-term partnerships rather than short-term wins, showcasing her ability to navigate complex international relationships. Her vision also extends to Alberta's energy sector. While Trudeau pushes for aggressive emissions caps, Smith advocates for a balanced approach that protects jobs and supports energy security. "Alberta has the resources and the expertise to be a global leader in energy," she said, "but we need policies that empower us, not ones that stifle innovation and growth." Smith's broader strategy includes investing in infrastructure and border security, as seen in her $29 million initiative to combat fentanyl trafficking and illegal crossings. By addressing these pressing issues head-on, she's demonstrating a willingness to take action where others have faltered. Ultimately, Smith's vision is about putting Albertans first while ensuring the province remains a vital player on the national and international stage. In a political climate often marked by division and dysfunction, Smith's leadership offers a clear path forward, one grounded in pragmatism and accountability. But what do you think? Is Smith setting a new standard for Canadian politics, or is her approach too bold for some? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on Canada's most pressing issues. Your support helps us continue bringing you the stories that matter. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
hear concerns about illegal drugs, illegal migrants. They think for the United States it's mainly an issue coming from Mexico. But from what you know of what's happening along our shared border, just what is coming from Canada into the United States?